Hello. Today I'm going to be working on a collage, and I've been following a free workshop by Susan McCreevy. I strongly recommend it, called The Essence of Landscape. And I love collage, and I really enjoyed making some mini collage the other week. Semi-abstract, but it really sparked off in me an interest in maybe looking into doing some more landscapes. So I found Susan's course and thought, well, why not try it? So I'm loosely going with her guidance. I've got some outlines drawn in pencil here. She normally paints in the sky, so I've done that with acrylic paint and a pale blue, a mixture of blues and some white, and then I've just given a wash over the outline of the shapes, and a couple of trees here, some hills, some grass, a little road, some water and the riverbank. So I've actually pre-cut some pieces just to make this a bit quicker to fit into these areas. You can do that by tracing the area and then cutting out your pieces of collage paper around it. I've used all painted papers today that I've recently made with my jelly plate, or also with a couple of other printing techniques, and including collage. You can see my short video of all the different plates I used to make my papers. And well, without further ado, I'm going to start off. I'm using matte gel medium, and I'm using this lovely Catalyst filbert brush, which is firm but soft enough so that the tissue won't rip. I've used some vintage book papers, and I've used some tissue, wet strength tissue, which I recently discovered by doing this course, which is really useful because you might have seen in a previous video, normal tissue can just break once it becomes wet, but this is really strong. These are the pieces I've prepared, and I've sort of laid them on top of a black and white printed picture. So without further ado, let me start sticking these pieces on. It's very much trial and error for me, so you're learning with me, and that's great. Thank you for being here. And I'm gonna put some medium on there and pop down the piece. Often I would be pasting both sides, gluing both sides with the medium, but because it's wet strength tissue, well, it's fairly strong, but it's more delicate than some other book pages and things. I just glue on the paper and then put the piece down. In that case, this is a vintage paper, so going to be chopping and changing a bit how I do it. Over there, and then this, I believe, is a little piece of road. This is just a local place I had a nice photo of, and thought I might make a nice sort of semi-autumnal feel to this one with some colours, but I'm not using all realistic colours necessarily. It's sort of yeah, a bit of a loose interpretation, say. Sometimes just using the plain colours to me is just not interesting enough, to be honest with you, for what I want to do. Right, let's paste this bit down. This is one of the experimental different colours I'm using. So this piece, go down there, a few bubbles, can knock those out, and these bits are overlapping, that's fine, we can just cut those through at the end. It means you don't have any white space at the edge, which is good. Right, now in this bit you might be thinking, oh, she's missed a bit, but I have got some papers for here. Not sure if it's actually big enough to fit in there. So sometimes things have to be adjusted a little bit. That might actually fit a lot better. Take a little bit off, adapt it a wee bit. And I was going to have this green bit sort of overlapping the other bit anyway. Quite like that actually. Not quite long enough down there. What if I pop it there and then add a tiny bit more from down here? If I cut that a bit off. Yeah, I like that. So sometimes you have to sort of go with the flow a bit with collage. You know, you can plan so much, but when you come to it, you sort of have to just go with your instinct, and if it doesn't look quite right on the page, just adapt and have some fun. Sorry, I keep knocking with my brush. I'll try not to do that. And then we have the little chink there that we need to cover up. Okay, so that'll probably just about do it. A little bit darker than the other, but we can sort of tie that in a bit later with some mark making on the top, so that's no problem. I mean, you could add another piece. That doesn't look too bad actually, for a bit of interest. But what do we want to do? Yeah, actually I might add that. Improvisation is a friend of an artist. There we go. There you are. That's good. I'm happy with that. A bit of interest, a bit of variety in the greens, which isn't a bad thing. Might just snip that little bit off. These little tiny scissors are quite handy for this sort of work. Ideal. Knock out some of those bubbles again. Right, okay. So that, good. And now we're on to the water. Now I did choose a different few pieces, different colours for the water, which was nice. It had the flecks of light reflecting, but then I found this and I thought, ooh, that looks really nice. So I decided to go with the prettier one. Not necessarily more accurate or anything, but I like it, so that's what I'm going to do. Let's put a nice bit of gel medium there, and on he goes. Yeah, just make sure I've got the right proportion there. Water. Okay, so obviously that bit's not long enough, so I'll have to I've got another piece over here for this area, which again might be too long, so I just need to cut or tear accordingly. Okay, so about, just tear that off there, and then cut down the top a little bit. Okay, see what that's like. If I stick it down, snip that. There we go. It sort of goes around the bend and gets thinner there, the water. So, yeah, put that down. And sometimes these pieces will be a bit big for the area, and you can either cut them down, also you can go over and cover bits up, like with some of the plants along the bank or whatever. You can cover it over a little bit. Yeah, that's not too bad. Nice. And this area of water is actually a bit darker in the picture. Now I've uncovered the black and white picture. You can see sort of the curve of the river here going round, so you can see I can cover up some of the excess river with these plants at the edge, or I can either collage or I can draw at the end. So okay, what we got next? Water. Just cut this very bottom bit off so it's not so distracting being so far off the edge. Right, I'm liking that. Looks good. Now then, where shall we go next? We have, these are the trees. So in the actual photo there is there's that one which I've demonstrated with that paper, and then there's actually one or two large dark trees which are behind these 2 or 3 small spindly trees. Well, I decided to simplify that whole group, have the height of it all, but just make it the same density. So that's what I'm doing with that. So good. Yeah, I think I'll put these on next. Trees. And which one do I want? Because obviously if I want one overlapping, I need to think, if anything, it should be that way round. So this coppery one can go on first. And I've just tried to make simplified shapes to make it easier for myself for these trees. Nothing too fancy. I've feathered in a little bit here to give it a little bit of an idea of the light coming round branches, but I haven't gone overboard with it. And it's just a representation, really. It's not supposed to be an accurate photographical piece of art, obviously. Let's, again, doing it right up to the edge, because the tree does carry on to the edge and maybe in some places a bit beyond. So I shall paste that down. Oops, a little bit. There we go. Getting there. And that one's a little bit of a crinkly one. Keep working on it. I might actually, this is how I used to do collage before I got this nice brush. I used to use a palette knife, because this is wet strength tissue. Let's just try it out, because it is stronger. It's actually quite hard to rip or tear. So if you like tearing with collage, it does make it a bit more difficult, to be honest, but it's well worth it because it really is much easier to print on, and things don't fall apart when they get wet. So yeah, it's really good stuff. It's what they make lanterns and things for light festivals and things with. So it's got to be strong for that sort of thing. Right, we have our grass at the front. I'm aware this is quite a bright light piece, but there will be bits going on top of it, so I just liked it. I liked the way it went with this bright green in the distance, so that's what I went for. Okay, so this, how does this go? I have actually got the original photo as well as the black and white picture up on my right hand side on my laptop. So I'm sort of referring to that. I'm sort of thinking, now this angle doesn't seem quite right for this bit. Let's see what we can do. I might just cut a bit of this. I don't want to cover up too much with the water. I've got some more pieces to put up here. And I might just shorten that piece. Fine. Yep. That'll be okay. That's going down there. Crop that a little bit. Again, a bit of improvisation. And that one is on some old vintage paper. So that requires double-sided pasting. Here we are. Okay, it's not behaving how I want it to. Again, I'm just slightly going over the edge here, which we can sort out when we've finished and it's all dry. Oopsie daisy. Right, starting to get the basis of this piece down. I'm not going to just finish it with the shapes like that. It will have some embellishments on top of some sorts or others. And we have this piece, which, as you see, it does cover up quite a lot of the water up here, which is what I want, because that's sort of how the river sort of meanders up here. So and that chunk of light is actually quite good, because there is a chunk of light there, so I can sort of create maybe a little focal point there with another small lighter piece of collage. I don't know what yet. I haven't really thought about that, but it could be a green, or it could be, obviously not that big, or it could be a yellow. Not sure. Maybe that's something I can do in a while. So let's see. That's probably about right, and then I'll obviously need to take a bit off the edge. Oops, sorry, knocked you again. And there we are. Oops. Da, 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 da. Yes. It does require a bit of patience, this process, I must say, but hopefully it's worth it. Right, a bit crinkly, but we'll try and those bubbles out. Because there, that's looking good. Good. These are like sort of reed area. Trying to explain this bit all the way down here, and then there's a darker bit here, and I've got this piece. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, I'll go with that. Just give a darker value there. Always nice to have a mixture of darker and lighter values, or darker and lighter shades of colour, and then it sort of creates more of an interesting painting collage. Right, I think that's looking nice now. I like that. I think we've just got one more small piece, which was a little zesty bit of sort of purpley pink. This is a fairly nice purpley sort of rich colour there, and it's sort of a nice pinky coppery, so this one's sort of a bit in between. So if we pop that along where it's got a bit of a darker bit along the edge of the bank, I think that would be good. Finish off that area. Maybe take a bit off the end. Yeah, that's fine. That's just coming off the edge, so that can be trimmed. Okay, what about this little bit here? Let's have a think. We have got some lighter sort of yellow, natural colour. Got that's a bit dark, I think. If anything, either a bit of pale green, or maybe that. Is it bright enough? That is the question. Yep, I think I'm happy with that. I can always jazz it up with some mark making. Once this is completed, but